Success, like a seed, begins in silence. It doesn't announce itself to the world. It doesn't demand attention or validation. It simply grows quietly and steadily until one day it emerges, strong, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. Yet, so many of us feel the urge to shout our plans from the rooftops. We want the world to know what we're doing, where we're going, and how we're going to get there. But why? Is it the need for recognition, the thrill of being seen, or the hope that someone will cheer us on? The truth is, success doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause or approval. It needs time, space, and focus. And the more we talk about our plans, the less energy we have to actually execute them. Today, I want to explore the quiet power of silence. The art of keeping your plans close to your chest, not out of secrecy, but out of wisdom. We'll dive into why action speaks louder than words, why focus is your greatest ally, and how letting your results do the talking can transform your life. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Progress. Let's start with a question. Have you ever shared a goal with someone, only to feel a strange sense of satisfaction, as if you'd already accomplished it? This is the illusion of progress. When you tell someone, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to write a book, their reaction, whether it's a nod, a smile, or a word of encouragement, can trick your brain into feeling like you've already achieved something. But here's the problem. You haven't. Talking about your plans gives you a temporary high, a fleeting sense of accomplishment, but it also drains the urgency to act. Why? Because your mind has already tasted the reward. It's like eating dessert before dinner. It satisfies your craving, but it leaves no room for the real meal. I've seen this play out time and time again. People with grand ideas, noble ambitions, and dreams that could change their lives talk themselves out of success. They share their plans too soon, exposing their dreams to the cold winds of doubt, criticism, and distraction. And before they know it, the fire they once felt is burned out. Chapter 2. The Cold Winds of Doubt. Not everyone who listens to your plans will understand them. Some will question your motives. Others will doubt your abilities. And even if they don't say it out loud, their skepticism will hang in the air like a shadow over your ambition. This is why discretion is so powerful. When you keep your plans to yourself, you're protecting your focus. You're creating a quiet space where your ideas can grow, free from the interference of others. Think of it like building a greenhouse for your dreams. Inside, the conditions are perfect, warm, nurturing, and undisturbed. But outside, the world is full of noise, opinions, distractions, and unsolicited advice. And when you open the door too soon, you invite that noise in. Chapter 3. The Power of Momentum. Momentum is a precious thing. It's the forward motion you create when you take consistent, purposeful action toward your goals. And here's the key. Momentum thrives in silence. When you're focused on doing the work, rather than talking about the work, you build a rhythm. Each small step you take reinforces the next, and before you know it, you've made significant progress. But when you start talking about your plans prematurely, you disrupt that rhythm. You shift your focus from action to explanation, from doing to justifying. And every moment you spend explaining yourself is a moment you're not moving forward. Chapter 4. The Element of Surprise. There's a certain power in doing the unexpected, in letting your results speak for themselves. Imagine this. You've been quietly working on a project for months, maybe even years. You haven't said a word about it to anyone outside your trusted circle. And then one day, you unveil it to the world, a finished product, a completed goal, a shining achievement. The impact is far greater than if you've been talking about it the whole time. People will marvel at what you've accomplished because it came out of nowhere. It's a reminder that action is always more impressive than words. Chapter 5. The Stories That Inspire. Let me share 2 stories with you. The first is about a young man who wanted to start his own business. He was full of ideas and enthusiasm, and he couldn't wait to tell everyone about it. At every opportunity, he'd go on and on about his plans. what he was going to do, how successful he was going to be, how his life was about to change. People listened politely, but over time, they started to grow skeptical. Why? Because months went by and nothing happened. The more he talked, the less people believed in him. And eventually, he stopped believing in himself. Contrast that with another man I knew, a farmer from the Midwest. He had a vision to turn his small family farm into a thriving enterprise. But instead of talking about it, he simply got to work. He read books, studied successful farmers, and quietly implemented new techniques. He didn't announce his plans. He let his results do the talking. And when the time came to sell his crops, he shocked everyone with the quality and quantity of his harvest. People asked, "How did you do it?" And he simply smiled and said, "By working when no one was watching." Chapter 6. The Freedom of Silence. There's something profoundly liberating about moving in silence. It frees you from the weight of external expectations and allows you to operate on your own terms. When you announce your plans to the world, you're putting yourself under a spotlight. Suddenly, people are watching, waiting, and maybe even judging. That pressure can be stifling, especially in the early stages of a project when things are still uncertain and fluid. But when you keep your plans private, you give yourself the freedom to fail quietly, to learn from your mistakes without the added burden of outside opinions. This is why discretion isn't just a strategy, it's a gift you give to yourself. Chapter 7. The Ripple Effect of Results. Results are your best advertisement. When you achieve something significant, people will take notice without you having to say a word. Your success will naturally attract attention, and that attention will be far more meaningful than anything you could have generated by talking about your plans prematurely. Think of it as a ripple effect. Your actions create waves that reach far and wide, touching people in ways that words never could. Chapter 8. The Challenge of Silence. So here's a challenge for you. The next time you set a goal, resist the urge to announce it to the world. Instead, channel that energy into action. Write it down, make a plan, and take the first step quietly, deliberately, and with full focus. Remember, the goal isn't to impress others with your intentions. It's to impress yourself with your accomplishments.